I'm so proud of my wife and my father for how they've handled all of last year. My children have managed brilliantly as well. Catherine is in remission now. Yes. The cameras were set up. Prince William sat alone in a chair staring at a piece of paper in his hands. Nobody in the room had ever seen him like this before. His eyes were red, his jaw was tight, and his hands were shaking just enough that the paper trembled. The secret that had been eating at him for months. Palace staff who had worked with William for years stood frozen as they watched him struggle with emotions he rarely showed in public. One producer whispered to her colleague behind her, "Something is very wrong here. This is not just about a baby name." She was right. What the world was about to hear would change everything people thought they knew about Prince William, his marriage, and the royal family itself. Tears fell and thousands watching could feel their hearts shatter alongside the prince. Why was he crying? What could a name possibly reveal that would reduce a future king to tears on camera? Stay close, because what Prince William revealed in that emotional statement was not just about his family. It was about survival, sacrifice, and a love story that rarely happened. This is what really happened behind the royal wall, and it will leave you speechless. The setup. Nobody understood. The announcement of the baby's name came on a Wednesday morning. The statement read, "Their Royal Highnesses are pleased to announce their daughter will be named Rose Diana William." The middle name made sense as everyone expected Diana to feature somehow. But Rose, that was the mystery. Immediately, speculation exploded online. Royal name experts scrambled to find historical significance. Was there a Queen Rose, a Princess Rose in the family tree? Searches turned up nothing substantial, as some people suggested it was just a pretty name chosen for its simplicity. Others dug deeper, convinced that there had to be more to it. What nobody knew yet was that the palace had been in chaos 48 hours before that announcement went out. Meetings ran late into the night. Voices were raised behind closed doors. King Charles had been involved along with senior advisors who all had opinions about what should or should not be said publicly. Princess Kate had been crying. William had been pacing, his frustration visible to anyone who saw him. The baby was 5 days old, healthy and beautiful. But something was clearly wrong with how the adults were handling things. Staff members who worked in the family's private quarters noticed strange behavior in the days leading up to the birth. Catherine had been receiving letters, lots of them, hand-delivered by a private courier who came directly to Adelaide Cottage, bypassing normal palace mail protocols. William always personally took the letters from the courier, thanking the man quietly before disappearing into his study for hours. When he emerged, he looked exhausted, drained, like whatever those letters contained weighed more than anyone could imagine. George, Charlotte, and Louis sensed the tension, too. They became quieter around their parents. George asked his father directly one evening if everything was okay. William smiled, ruffled his son's hair, and said something else. "Everything is fine," he said. "Just busy with preparations for work." George did not look convinced, but did not push further. He retreated to his room, where he later told Charlotte that something was definitely wrong, but he did not know exactly what. The birth itself went smoothly. Catherine delivered a healthy baby in the early morning hours of the next day. William was by her side, visibly holding her hand and whispering words of encouragement. When the child finally arrived, crying and perfect, they both wept. But careful observers in the delivery room noticed something odd. Catherine kept asking William the same question. "Are you fine? Are you sure about this?" And William kept nodding. "Yes, we agreed we are doing this." Doing what exactly? Nobody understood. At least not yet. After the standard recovery period, when Catherine and the baby were cleared to go home, the conversations about the name intensified. Palace officials wanted to release an announcement, but William kept delaying. "We sure need more time," and the communications team grew frustrated. Every day without an announcement meant more speculation, more rumors, more pressure. But William would not budge. He was waiting for something or someone. Someone arrived on the 5th day after the birth. An older, elegantly dressed woman arrived at Kensington Palace through a private entrance. No press saw her. No staff members were told who she was. She was escorted directly to William and Catherine's private sitting room, where she stayed for 3 hours. At certain points, raised voices could be heard through the thick doors. At other times, there was only silence. When the woman finally left, she was crying. William walked her to her car, embracing her tightly before she drove away. He stood in the driveway watching until the car disappeared, his shoulders sagging like all his strength had just left with her. Catherine found him there 20 minutes later, still standing in the same spot. He turned to her with eyes full of pain and resolve mixed together. "We tell them everything and all of it. No more secrets." Catherine hesitated because that was not the plan. They had agreed to keep certain details private to protect people who did not deserve to be exposed. But William shook his head firmly. "If we are going to use that name, people deserve to know why." His wife searched his face, then slowly nodded. "Okay, we tell them." The statement was scheduled for the following day. William would record it himself, speaking directly to the camera. No palace spokesperson to soften his words. Catherine would not appear with him. This was something he needed to do alone. The decision surprised everyone. Royals did not typically do solo emotional reveals, but William insisted that this was his story to tell. The palace machinery kicked into gear. A room was prepared and cameras set up, a single chair positioned with careful lighting, and William sat down to prepare for the hardest speech of his life yet. The recording that changed everything. The production team arrived early to set up equipment. They expected a standard announcement, maybe 5 minutes of William explaining the name choice, perhaps mentioning its significance, keeping things surface level and appropriate. What they did not expect was for William to arrive with 20 pages of handwritten notes, or for him to request that once the recording started, nobody interrupted him no matter what, or for palace officials to clear the room of everyone except essential camera operators. Something big was about to happen. William sat in the chair, adjusted his tie, and stared at the camera lens. He took several deep breaths. A makeup artist approached to powder his face one final time, but he waved her away. "I want people to see me as I am right now. No masks." She backed away, nodding. The director called for quiet on set. 3, 2, 1. The camera's red light blinked on and William began to speak. His voice was steady at first, measured. He thanked people for their congratulations on the birth of his daughter. He mentioned how healthy and beautiful she was. How George, Charlotte, and Louis were thrilled to be big siblings again. Standard material that made the production team relax slightly. Maybe this would be normal after all. Then William's tone shifted. His next words made everyone in the room go completely still. "I want to talk about her name, Rose Diana. The Diana part is obvious to most people because she is named after my mother. A woman I miss every single day of my life. But Rose is different. Rose is the name we chose to honor someone else. Someone who saved my life. Someone without whom I would not be sitting here today. Someone whose story has been kept secret for far too long." William paused, visibly gathering himself. What he said next shocked every person listening. "When I was 23 years old, I tried to take my own life." The words hung in the air like smoke. Nobody moved. And William continued, his voice rougher now. "I was drowning in grief over my mother's demise, struggling with the pressure of my position. I felt trapped in a life I did not choose and could not escape. I felt hopeless. One night, I made a decision that I am not proud of. I prepared to end everything." William stopped, closing his eyes briefly. The camera kept rolling. "But I did not die because someone found me. Her name was Rose. She was a staff member at Kensington Palace. She was not supposed to be working that night, but she had stayed late to finish some tasks. She heard something, came to check, and she found me." William's voice broke completely. "She saved my life, called for help, stayed with me while I waited for the doctors, held my hand, and told me over and over that I mattered, that my life had value, that tomorrow could be better than today." The crew members exchanged shocked glances. This was not in any briefing they had received. William pressed on, tears now flowing freely down his face. Rose could have told the press. She could have sold her story for a large sum of money, but she never did. "She signed confidentiality agreements at the palace's insistence and kept my secret for over 15 years. She protected me when I was at my most vulnerable. She asked for nothing in return." William wiped his eyes but did not attempt to hide that he was crying. Recently, Rose became very ill. Terminal illness that doctors say will take her within months. When Catherine and I learned we were having another daughter, we both knew immediately what her name should be. We wanted to honor Rose while she is still here to know how much she meant to me, to us, to our family. William looked directly into the camera with an intensity that was almost painful to witness. Rose, if you are watching this, thank you. Thank you for seeing value in my life when I could not see it myself. Thank you for your silence and your strength. This baby girl will carry your name forward. And every time someone asks us why we chose it, I will tell them about the woman who saved the future king. Not because it was her duty, but because she cared about a broken young man who needed help. The director made a cutting motion, but William kept talking. I am sharing this now because mental health matters. Suicide is not something we should hide or be ashamed of. Because maybe, just maybe, if I am honest about my darkest moment, someone else who is struggling right now will ask for help instead of suffering in silence. My mother spent her life breaking down stigmas around difficult topics, AIDS, landmines, mental illness. I want to continue that work. And I want Rose to know before she leaves this world that her kindness mattered, that she made a difference, and that she will be remembered. William finally stopped talking, and the room stayed silent for a full 30 seconds. Nobody knew what to do or say. The aftermath. Nobody expected. Panic set in immediately after William left. Palace officials who had not been present for the recording were summoned urgently. The footage was reviewed with growing horror. This cannot air.